Hello, ladies. How's it going?
Going.
That's a start. Gotta start somewhere.
Hello.
Hi.
Deb, your service is beautiful Friday. Just awesome. I have no words to describe the loveliness and
Oh, thank you so much. The songs have been running through my head now for almost the week that I've been working on them. And, we're getting ready to do the Shema, and all I can think about is Shema tradition,
You did all of that in 1 week?
Yeah, actually, I did most of it in about 2 or 3 days.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
that's amazing. Yes. I'd get tips.
Well, the recordings, I started with YouTube karaoke, and then I had to download it and make a bunch of changes to it in my Magic software and, trim it and all that kind of stuff. But the words just came so easily.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing that ever since I was a little kid, like making up new words to old songs all the time. So
Wow.
That's great.
thank you. It's fun to kind of show it off, I love that I'm not the only one who enjoys it. I love that other people get a kick out of it too.
So it's amazing.
Thank you. Hi, Wendy.
Hi. Good morning.
Oh, there you go. How's it going?
No complaints. How are you?
I am good. I just went and put on my snuggly warm sweatshirt. There is something about fleece and fake Sherpa that just, wow, I needed it.
It's soft and warm and cuddly.
Oh, no. Well, we always joke in my family that whenever I get a new top, I have to check its snuggability factor. And so I have to test it with each member of the family, and they have to give me a good hug. And then depending on how they react and respond to it, whether it's, oh, or whether it's just, then I know,
You keep it or you return it, right?
That's right. That's right. The snuggability factor is critical. Very important. Along with having many drinks to keep me going.
I always have my water and my coffee cup.
Yes. Well, this morning, I am enjoying my hot tea, which I have this really cool mug warmer that it came with this mug, and it works incredibly well. I cannot believe it keeps it perfect drinking temperature for like hours if you want to last that long. So I always have that with my tea, and then my hot chocolate always goes in this cup. So I drink a protein hot chocolate every morning.
You put protein powder in it, or?
Yeah, it's actually it's one that I buy that already has it from. It's a place called American Bariatrics. I had bariatric surgery years ago, and I just can't stop drinking this stuff because it's so good. And after you've had weight loss surgery, sometimes you have to have more protein, and it doesn't always get absorbed well, and all that kind of stuff. So it helps me make sure I get all my protein in.
Sounds tasty.
It's actually really good. Good morning, Miss Ellen.
Good morning, Miss Rogers.
How are you?
I'm grand. How are you guys?
Super.
How's everybody?
So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know Abby's not going to be here. I think is that all of us? 1, 2, 3.
Lori, isn't she? Oh, she's coming on.
Yeah, Lori's coming in.
My mom should be logging on.
Right. For some reason, I was trying to figure it out. The attendance list that I printed out has Alyssa twice instead of Pam. Go figure. There she is.
Yeah, I'm here. Am I the last one?
Pam?
No, it's Lori.
No, Lori, you are not. Pam is on her way in now.
Okay, good.
You are in plenty of time, my friend.
Do not want to be the first, but definitely don't want to be the last.
We're not the first.
No. I work hard at that.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. So good to see everybody. Did everybody have everybody okay on all the supplies? You have no problem with everything? Everybody have their reading glasses with them?
Not that it'll help.
Oh, I forgot my name.
I forgot my reading glasses. I'm going to go get them.
My reading glasses need reading glasses for fun.
Actually, I have a giant magnifying glass. Let me go get it, just in case.
What was I supposed to do?
Not sure what this is.
What was I supposed to do?
The hardest part was finding a ruler.
Well, and that was optional. I mean, the piece of paper doesn't
And making the lines.
well, the piece of paper doesn't have to be exact. So, there you go. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, did anybody have the opportunity to, let me take this share off, sorry. Stop the share. How do I stop? Where is my stop button? Hello? Sorry, it advanced. I didn't mean that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you don't have to put them on yet, but you're okay. For another couple.
Strength magnifying glass.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Is that heavy?
Well, my husband's a radiologist. This is
so you put it on top and you move it around, or?
Yeah, I could.
That's super cool. Did anybody have a chance to do anything with the tzedek tir dov process? No. Yeah, so Alyssa figured it out immediately, of course. She sent me a text. She goes, that didn't quite go the way you planned, did it? So I'm sorry we didn't get to actually do the artwork, but wasn't he just amazing? He had so many interesting things to talk about. I'm sorry that we didn't get a chance to try the calligraphy. And Alyssa sent me actually a few links, and I blew it and forgot to send them out to all of you. So I will send them out to you as well. And if anybody wants to experiment and play around with the Hebrew calligraphy, you can absolutely go for it. It's fun to try if you like to do that sort of thing. I also included in the last follow-up email, if you didn't want to try calligraphy but wanted to do some art, I included some coloring pages, which how many of you guys actually do that? Does anybody else coloring pages? Oh my gosh, I'm such a dork. I love those, you guys.
It's too restrictive.
What'd you say?
It's too restrictive. Color inside the lines. Even as a kid, I couldn't do that. I flunked coloring. So I need big, broad strokes of things.
Okay, well, today you're going to get a lot more creativity. It's all on you, but they're going to be tiny unless you use a bigger sheet of paper. So, but that's okay.
I'll try.
So first of all, let me just do so that I write this down. We've got everybody but Abby. She let me know she was visiting family this weekend. So there we go. We're all here. A tzedakah reminder, if anybody wants to set any aside to write your check at the end of the semester, go for it. That would be awesome. And let's see. So I am going to share my handy dandy little presentation again. All right, so here we are, Artfully Tikkun Olam. You knew that. We did attendance and we did tzedakah, so let's go on. Today's concept that we're talking about is inner peace. What does that have to do with Tikkun Olam?
It helps to have that if you're going to reach out and do good. It's very hard to do if you don't have your own stuff together.
Right. What else?
It's pretty obvious.
You're repairing yourself.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on that concept before we go on to a quote?
Just helps to know where you are, to become aware of where you want to be and where you want to go.
You know, I love that, Susan, especially because how you started that and you said you got to be aware of where you are. It's so important, I think, personally, and sounds like you agree, and probably everybody does, that if you don't understand where you are, how are you going to know what you need and, you know, all that good stuff. That's beautiful. I love it. Any other thoughts on this? Initial thoughts? Okay.
Inner peace.
Yeah, right? Finding that is...
Yeah, and if I would disclose just a little, in the distant past, I had significant issues, and that was one sort of recurrent theme that I couldn't find.
Yeah.
Really?
Couldn't get your mind to calm down and just be?
Well, yeah, basically.
Enough said, right? Yeah. So, yeah. So here's a quote I found. I had never heard of this guy, but I found this while I was researching, and he says, repairing the self is crucial to repairing the world, for the transformation of the self is essential to sustaining the work of transforming the world. So transforming the world without transforming the self too often leaves the self burnt out, despairing, and overwhelmed. Where does that take you?
Nicely put.
Yeah, this, and again, I'm going to follow your lead, Ellen. Full disclosure here. I tend to be so busy and do so much and spend so little time recharging my own batteries that the overwhelm just sometimes it just rolls right over me, right? And it's just, you sit there, for me anyway, I sit there shell-shocked and I don't quite know where to turn. There's just too many things, right? So this really resonated with me quite a bit about the need to recharge yourself and fill your own cup, or whatever you want to call it. There's so many different ways to say it.
Well, today it's so hard to just be quiet and be still.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of the things I work on, because like you, there's always going. But when I stop, my mind is still going. So
Yeah.
it's how do I be still? How do I be present? So
Have you come up with any strategies that you'd like to share?
no, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really just become more aware for me.
Yeah.
You know, 24/7 working at home, and which I did anyways, but I had some interactions with the world. No,
Yeah.
not as much.
I might have told, I know some of you know this, but one reason I started doing live teaching on Zoom with my cake business is because I was craving interaction. I wanted to be with people, you know? And so people were like, oh, that's so cool you're doing it. It's so nice of you to do it. I'm like, nice of me? Are you kidding me? It's self-preservation. I need it, you know? I need to see you. And by the way, this class does the same for me. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
And I was going to make a snarky remark, and not directed at Lori, but when you talked about how to be present still, I was going to say heavy doses of antidepressant, but I was kidding.
You know, and the thing is, I've tried different drugs like that, and it doesn't, for me, it doesn't do much.
Well, they don't work for everybody, and you're not necessarily depressed when you have to work on being quiet and still and present.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it was snarky. I just couldn't resist.
Absolutely. I hear you, sister. So one thing that I've also started doing, I found, you know, an app that reminds me to breathe, right?
Yep.
And I haven't crossed the line into meditation yet. It's something I wish I could do. And they say in order to do it, you just have to do it. And I just haven't gone there yet. However, whenever I get the little blip on my wrist that tells that little sound that tells me to breathe, it's something I'm starting to learn how to do. And it does seem to help to just take, and literally it's like 10 seconds, right? I just stop for 10 seconds and I figure it's a good place to start. So what I wanted to talk about today is Zentangle. I don't know. Did anybody figure it out from the list of supplies? Susan's like, yep. Wendy, how many of you?
I know what Zentangle is. I didn't figure that out.
Look at what you got. All right.
My son did it as an art project earlier this year. So this is what I did during our little speaker last time that I was speaking. I can't sit still. So this is what I was doing.
Oh, I love
that's great.
Wait, okay. I've got to stop the share for a second and we got to look at this because I want to get a better look.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Oops.
Wow.
Can you guys all see her? Later. Okay. So that is super cool. And how did it feel to do that? Was it distracting you to think about drawing?
No, it kept me paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. You know who else actually doodles to pay attention is Rabbi Shauna. Sometimes we have these really long meetings where we're working on the temple calendar and they, last year was my first one and it was almost a full day and it was a lot of time just sitting and working, or maybe it was 2 years ago. Anyway, the point is, she doodles the whole time. And I'm like, I used to do that too. And how many of you were in like maybe a school class or something and you doodled and you got in trouble for it? Right?
I just read an article written by, it was a surgeon, and she was at a conference, and it was long, and the speaker called her out because she was knitting. And she knits to stay focused.
Oh my gosh, the speaker called her out. How awful.
But that's why she wrote an article about it. She was really pissed.
I bet. Wow.
Yeah, a little chauvinism there too, but.
One of the things they're talking about now is doing doodle notes in school because you have that visual learning, and by the drawing, you tend to pull out the important parts as opposed to writing. So there's a lot about doodle notes.
Oh, love that. I just wrote it down because I'm going to look it up.
That's interesting.
Thank you. I love going down rabbit holes. So I'll Google that and I'll be on it for like an hour and who knows where I'll come out the other end.
Let me know what you think.
I will.
It's interesting.
So I'm going to put the share up again. So, well, before I do that, how many of you have, I'm going to call it practiced Zentangle. How many of you have actually learned from somebody who teaches Zentangle or looked at a book that teaches Zentangle or anything like that? Maybe a little bit, Susan, but maybe a little bit, Alyssa. Okay, cool. I am not what they call a CZT, a certified Zentangle teacher. I was an active practitioner for a good year. I did it. I loved it. And what I found, I'm going to share this again. What Zentangle is sorry, I got to move you guys out of the way because I can't see my slide. It's creating beautiful images by drawing structured patterns. So technically it's not doodling. Okay. It's more directed than that. And it makes me think maybe a little bit of what you just said, Lori, that you're writing about, it's related to, how do I say this? It's mindful. It's not just random. So that's what made me think of what Lori said, is that it's not just random. You're giving yourself some direction, but it's non-representational and it's unplanned. So they like to say that there are no mistakes in Zentangle. That's why I didn't tell you needed an eraser today. Okay. They specifically call that out. What's that?
Who's the personality that brought erasers? Am I the only one?
No,
Oh.
I have to make sure mine had an eraser.
I didn't tell you I didn't have one. I just told you I didn't tell you to bring one.
Okay.
So, yeah. So first, I'm going to tell you what they say, and then we'll make it into our own thing. So it's non-representational and unplanned. So you're not trying to draw a picture of something, right? You're not trying to draw a face. You're not trying to, do a still life. Nothing like that. It's a directed way of, and I am going to say it's a directed way of doodling because that's how it feels to me. But what the whole point of it is that it helps you to sort of center yourself, right? These repetitive patterns, just doing this repetitive patterning, you're focused on it, but you are not thinking about the world so much. So does anybody know what that's called when you completely get inside yourself and lose track of time?
Flow.
Yeah.
Insight.
Exactly.
What did you say?
Zoning out.
Ellen, say it again.
You're in the flow. You're in the flow. Really,
yeah, that's like a really new age word that we've been using that has become very mainstream lately. Is flow, and they say that flow is where artists go when they create their best art, right? Have you ever been doing something where you completely lose track of time and it's like all of a sudden a couple hours later or however long later you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, the day's gone. I
love those kind of things.
Aren't they wonderful? Me too. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the idea of Zentangle, is to find that space, right? So it is kind of a space to be. Your mind can wander. You can think about other things while you're doing it. So they say that it impacts creativity, helps your self-image, and helps you focus, right? So when you're done and you kind of finish and you go, and then your brain has had a rest from the craziness. And so we're going to experiment with Zentangle today.
I got two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One, I've always seen it in black and white. Can you use colors, and can there be a broader design to work within instead of like just kind of making with the rulers, sections?
Yes. So the basic foundational Zentangle is very, very strict in that, yes, it's all black and white. It's line art. It's very unplanned. So you are, quote unquote, not supposed to fill in a shape of something or anything like that. It's very disciplined in how they do it. I guess, think of it like a yoga practice, right? And they're very, this is what they found works, the people who describe the Zentangle method. And I did put the website on there. It's not hard to find. It's zentangle.com. But what they call it and the reason I said yes is what they call it when you add color is there's an official name for it. It's called Zentangle Inspired Art. And there are a lot of us who prefer to do it that way, a Zentangle Inspired Art. We also, a lot of us who do this enjoy doing representational stuff. I like to take a shape, to start with an outline of something and fill it in. When I was a kid, I still remember I used to sit in the front row, heaven help me, in my social studies class when I was in 8th grade. And my teacher, Mr. Emerson, used to look down at my desk all the time, and he'd see me, I would make mazes. I would just doodle these little mazes, and I would make a shape. Usually it would be, I was also into calligraphy back then. So I would make like the shape of a letter or something like that. And I would fill it in painstakingly with mazes. But all I was doing, that's like Zentangle, right? It's just mindless filling in. You're not thinking about where you're going to go next. The pencil goes, right? And he used to just, scowl at me and all that, but he couldn't say much because I was doing well in the class. So I don't know. But yeah, so it can be representational if you want. At the end of the class, I'm not going to show you now because I don't want to predispose you towards anything, but I'll show you some of the stuff that I've done. Just if this is something you're interested in doing, it just kind of gives you some ideas of, where you can take it and what you can do with it. But So yes, yes, and yes. If you choose not to use black today, you can absolutely use different color. You can do it however you want. I am not a CZT, so I'm not going to tell you to stick to the Zentangle method. However, I am going to try to show it to you the best I can. Any other questions before we go into the actual thing? All right, so the first thing you want is a small piece of paper. I don't know how many of you already cut this. That's the only thing the ruler's for, is to get you to cut you a square. I am using a piece of, essentially it's a cardstock. So you had one in your kit. I know we had some white cardstock in there. Should have been a piece, maybe rolled up inside the roll of paper. It doesn't have to be cardstock, but because we are going to be shading in pencil and kind of rubbing on it a little, a stiffer paper will hold, will be less likely. You know how when you rub on something, or when you, heaven forbid, erase, the paper moves and you can kind of get crunchy and yucky. So using a heavier sheet of paper helps with that. Zentangle will tell you that it's also part of the experience is to use a finer piece of paper and to use quality supplies that feel good in your hand. Because remember, this is about yourself, right? And about that feeling. So you use your ruler or don't, you don't need to, but the idea is you want to get something that is approximately 3.5 inches square is what they say. If your eyesight is really crummy and you think you'll have extra trouble working on something that size and doing anything, make it bigger. That's fine. It's not a big deal. I actually have a plan. I got some canvas tiles, and I want to do a big mosaic that I want to put on a whole wall in my living room that I'm going to do with a thick Sharpie, but I want to like Zentangle it and just kind of attach the mosaics one after the other. But like most projects, I bought the tiles and I drew the basic where I wanted to go with it, and there it sits. So maybe someday. All right, so I'm gonna, while you guys are getting your sheet of paper, I'm going to put my counter camera on so that you can see better what I'm doing. I thought about, you know what I figured out how to do yesterday? I have an iPad and I figured out that I can share my drawing program with you so you can actually watch the lines appear on the screen, which I thought would be really cool. But then I realized that then we're not all using the same supplies and that makes it harder. So we're gonna go old school.
If I can say, there's a great Zentangle artist out of Akron whose name is April Couch.
Oh.
If anybody has a chance, Google April Couch. It's quite amazing.
Okay, I will have to look.
Yeah. She's been part of my exhibits.
She's been part of your what?
I curate art for the City of Beechwood Community Center, and she's been in 1 or 2 of my exhibits in the past.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. Well, that's great. One of my favorite online Zentangle artists that I follow and do a lot of her classes and stuff, her name is Annie Oken. Her art, but with her, it's more about the art, and that's not where we're going today. So I wonder if I can go, let me see if I can share this side by side. I think I can. I think I can. Let me just move this. I've lost her thing. Oh my gosh. I love Zoom, but I don't know if it's going to exchange it here. Yeah, it exchanged it. All right. Give me one more second here. I've heard I can do this side by side. I'm going to try it. Doesn't say add. I want to add it. All right, forget it. So these are the steps that we are going to go through. The first one, as I mentioned, these are the official Zentangle method steps. The first one is called gratitude and appreciation. So the first thing we're going to do is just be for a second and, enjoy our, this blank page, this possibility that it contains. One thing about Zentangle that I love is that the next step is corner dots. The reason I like that is because sometimes looking at a sheet of blank paper can be a little bit intimidating. You know, you're like, where do I start? What do I put down? And so we would lead you through that. Corner dots, then a border, then something called a string, which is what we use to divide the drawing up. A tangle is one of the little patterns that we're going to learn. Once you're done with that, you shade it with your pencil. And then these last two steps are really important. Initial it on the front. It's your piece of art. This is your time. It's about you. Then they want you to turn it over and sign it on the back and write whatever else you want. But that's, you know, what I'll frequently do on the back of mine is write the names of the patterns that I used and the date that I did it, because that kind of makes me happy. And then if I go back to it a year later and I said, oh, what was that one? I can always turn it over and it's on the back. And then the last thing, this is something that we often always forget to do. Take a step back and appreciate what you did, right? Don't just go right on to the next thing. Take a minute, okay? All right, so that's the process. I think it's more important for you to see what I'm doing than to have these steps up, because I will lead you through that. So we're going back to my camera. All right, so here's my sheet of paper. Are you guys good? You can all see what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love this camera. This is just so much fun. I got to bring it a little closer to myself though. All right. So the first step in Zentangle is the corner dots. And all we're going to do is with your pencil. Oh boy, I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to make mine dark enough that you can see it, but it just needs to be just very lightly, just make 4 dots in the corners. And you already don't have a blank sheet anymore, right? You've already got to start. So hooray for us. Does anybody else suffer from blank sheet anxiety a little bit when you're like, how am I going to even start? Yeah. Okay. All right. And the next thing you're going to do, put your ruler away. You don't need it anymore, for the record. So sorry you took so much time to go find it, Susan. You're done with it. That's my way of telling you.
I know where it is.
That's my way of telling you that as you connect these dots, you're not going to use a ruler. You just need to make a line from one to the next. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Again, you want it to be nice and light. I'm going to make mine a little heavier so that you can see them. And stop between each one. Don't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I'm just drawing little lines and they don't have to be exactly straight. We're just connecting it. That sets the border for our tangle. I mean, for our, no, not for our tangle, for our, I don't know, artwork, for our tile. This is called a tile, by the way, in Zentanglese. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do to help define where we're gonna put our patterns is we're gonna create a string. Now, for a moment, I am going to pull up new share. Oh, I want to see you guys, but every time I try to share and see you, I can't see the entire screen. There we go. All right, back to my PowerPoint. So all that a string is a way to divide up your tile. It can be done with straight lines. It can be done with curved lines. I'm only showing you this to tell you different ways that you can do it, but please don't copy what's up here. This is just a way to show you. I'm going to go back to my camera again, if I can reach it. There we go. All right, so your string can be straight lines, it can be curved lines. I tend to do something kind of curvy with a swoop in it. I'll show you what I usually do. Now that you saw the examples of just connecting side to side, top to bottom, whatever, I like to just kind of go like this. This is one of my favorite strings, is just to do something like that. And whatever you decide to do, you want to divide your square. You want to end up with anywhere from 3 to 6 sections for today. For future reference, it can be as many as you want. You can not divide it at all. if you want. That's called a monotangle when you do a whole drawing in one pattern. But I like to kind of do it like this. It just kind of makes me happy. So that's what I do. Everybody have a string drawn? Okay. Now, the other thing is I am not going to ask to see what you've done because this is for you. On the other hand, if you want to share it, it's fun to see. But I don't want one of the ideas of this is that there should be no pressure to show anybody else what you're doing because it's not for me, it's for you. Okay. So if you have a question or you want to show it or you want to share what you did, you are always welcome to. Okay, so now we have a string. So now we're starting to get a little bit of structure here, right? We've got some spaces. Now we got to figure out how to fill them in. So back to my, oh, it always pulls that down. That's going to drive me a little bit crazy. I'm going to show you a few different patterns that can be used. Now, with Zentangle, of course, the Zentangle people put out a zillion patterns. And then as Zentangle started picking up, people start making up their own, which is absolutely fabulous, right? There are so many different ways you can do this. By the way, does everybody have a piece of scratch paper nearby? Just like either the rest of your page or whatever. Just to learn the tangle, you may want to do that. This one is relatively straightforward, but if something feels like you don't really want to do it right on your square, I'm totally okay with scrap paper, just to try the shape or the pattern, whatever. But remember, when it goes on your tile, your art is for you, and Zentangle practitioners will tell you there's no such thing as a mistake. The other thing I forgot to tell you is that pencil you had, put that away. We're done with the pencil too. For now, till we shade. And this is where it gets a little bit scary for some people because we're going to go straight to the marker. If you're using the marker that was in your kit, it has a skinny end and it has a brush tip. The skinny end will work best for this, unless you opted for a larger piece of paper. So I'm going to show you a couple patterns. You're welcome to doodle them down. And the goal is going to be that we're going to fill each of these sections with a different pattern. The one that's up here is called Knightsbridge. It's an original Zentangle pattern. And it starts by simply drawing lines. They don't have to be diagonally across. They can be straight up and down, however you want to do it, with your black marker. Okay, you're going to draw those lines. And then the easiest way is at a 90-degree angle to that. You'll draw more lines to divide it into squares. And then after that, you color in every other square. That's all there is to Knightsbridge. Now you can see the other two examples that are down there where they kind of twisted it and turned it. You can see how the lines are drawn a little crooked to match the shape that they're trying to put it in. You don't have to do that, but you absolutely can. So what we're going to do now, I want to go to my other share. Great if it would let me do this without. Okay. Take out my doodle paper. All right, so I'm just going to take my pen. I'm going to pick a section. Oh, look, it actually fits on the back. I like that. Well, it doesn't stay very well, but okay. So I'm just going to start by making some lines straight across. They don't have to be straight. They don't have to be far apart from each other. They don't have to be close to each other. They don't have to be the exact same distance apart. Now, as you make a stroke, the idea is you want to mindfully place it and pull it, right? And you want to feel yourself making that line. I don't know how else to say it. Each line is its own entity in your art, okay? You're not thinking about the pattern at the time. You should be focusing on the line. The next thing, if you look up at the camera, I'm going to show you very popular. You want to turn to your most comfortable angle for your next set of lines. Your artwork or your Zentangle that you're working on does not have a top and a bottom. Okay. You're going to turn it every which way as we work on this. I'm going to turn it to an angle that's comfortable for me to draw the crossing lines. And I'm going to make mine, I think I might make them a little diamond shape today. So maybe not quite on the square, just because, you know, whatever. And I can start it anywhere. I'm going to start it right here. And then I'm just going to carry it out to each direction. I'm going to turn it so it's closer to me again. Cool. And you can either, some people favor coloring it in with your skinny marker. Some people like to use the fatter end. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with, go for. Don't worry necessarily, Susan, do it however you want. Don't color in the lines if you don't want to. Another way to fill it in that I can show you is you don't have to fill it all the way in. You can just kind of hatch it like this if you want. But I'm going to fill in every other because I like the way that looks. And I should be going slower. Sorry. Trying to set a good example here, right? You could do it like that, or you can color in the whole thing, whatever, I don't know, I'm trying to think of one of those cute little statements, whatever gets you going, you know.
Whatever floats your boat.
There you go. So the fat side of your pen is really super fat, so just be careful with that brush end if you want to stay in the lines. But it is faster to fill it in if that's what you're planning to do. Now, when you're doing this on your own, you're not necessarily going for the fastest way. That's why I said a lot of people like to use the fine tip for the whole thing. Don't forget to breathe.
I'm finding that when I pull a line, I exhale.
Oh.
So that my breathing is in sync with my line drawing and my relaxation.
That's cool. I like that.
So I should be asleep in about 2 minutes.
All right. I'll consider that a success. I like to outline each square before I color it in because it makes me happy. It's all about me. And I can actually say that today. It really is all about each of us, right? Ellen, are you done already?
Well, yeah, because it's really small.
So why don't you want to just use
admiring it? I'm admiring it. I'm stepping back and admiring it.
Okay. You just have a small section. Is that what you?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Don't forget to turn your paper if you need to.
Actually, what I'm doing is Samantha and I were making cards for a project.
Uh-huh.
And she was teaching me, we gave her this little tablet of individual pieces of paper. It came from some organization or something. And she's been doodling on them. And when we're done, maybe I'll show you what she's been doing. It's very much like this.
Oh, cool. You know, and actually they, like Alyssa said also, they have been doing this kind of stuff in the schools. This has been popular in the schools for, I don't know, definitely 4 or 5 years. at least, if not longer.
For all I know, she learned it in art class, but.
Yeah, and that's where they're getting exposed to it. I know Rabbi Van's son, Isaac, learned it at school.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go on to the next one. If you're not finished yet, that's okay. You can go back and do it when you have a moment. But I am going to go ahead and go to the next tangle for us. I want to move everything and move it back. All right, so this one's called Tipple. And one thing that I love about this one, first of all, it's super simple. It's not complicated. It gives a nice contrast to the Knightsbridge. It's a different sort of a feeling. When you're making those circles, you're not necessarily trying to make them the same size unless that speaks to you, right? The whole idea is we just want to pick a section. Oh, look, that's like my string. It's what they used. You just want to pick a section and you're going to fill it in with circles. And then you don't necessarily have to start by going outside like that. But that's, I guess, the way they teach it. And then as you fill in your circles, you see how they colored in between the spaces to fill the space completely. You can see the shading on the last panel there. I don't know if you can see. Can you guys see my pointer when I do that?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So you can see that they did some cool shading in here, but ignore that for now. So we're just going to go, in the other. So just pick a section and give your tipple a try. See, now I'm feeling like I should do the other section because they did that one, but I really want to do it in the middle. So that's what I'm going to do. And now I need my reading glasses. My eyes are just not doing what I'd like them to do. When you make the circle, you're going to start in one place and then you want to join it again. Okay, so I like to do it slowly. Again, we're not in a hurry to fill this out. That's not the point. I like to take the time to make a nice circle and close it as neatly as I can, because I'm kind of like that. Turning the paper. I like to make my tipple all different sizes. I don't like them all to look like the same size with little, just little circles at the intersections. I like to make some really big like that, and then others really kind of small to fill them in. I like the variety, but again, you do you. Alyssa, you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good. There's just, I can hear my kids in their class, so I didn't want it to interfere with you guys with our class. Question for you though.
Yeah.
For it to be an official Zentangle, like if you had 2 loops, could you do the same pattern in 2 loops, or for it to
Absolutely.
be an official Zentangle, do you have to have a different pattern in each area?
Nope, you can use the same pattern in different areas. The only rules they have are no erasing, no color. What else? No erasing, no color, no representative shapes. Like you shouldn't be trying to make something. Although when you look at some of the patterns to me seem somewhat representative, but I'm not going to split hairs. So I'll go back now and I'm going to actually fill in. There's a couple places where I think I could put another little circle. I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to take, again, still with my fine point pen, and I'm going to color in the spaces in the middle. And then for the spaces on the outside, I think I'm on mine, I'm going to make sure everything's connected, but I don't think I'm going to follow that straight pencil line. The pencil lines are for guidance, okay? So if you're feeling letting your tipple get a little bigger than your section, go for it. It's a guide, but it's not supposed to be a barrier. So, and I would like the edge to not be exactly, you know, what's the word? Straight like the pencil line. I want it to flow more with the shape of the tipple. So I'm kind of outlining the tipple with a little heavier marker. I had meant to bring music. I was going to put that on, but oh well. Could hum a ditty.
Sea shanty.
So,
popular.
or I can do more show tunes. That's what's in my head. I'm going to do what Ellen did. I'm going to take a second to take a step back and look at it and see where it's going. One nice way for me to do that is I get to just look at the screen. It's kind of fun. It looks so different from far away than it does close up. I can't remember if I put 3 in here or 4. I'm going to look. Oh, I like that one. 4. Okay. So I actually, I don't know if you have 3 sections, 4 sections or more in your thing, but I brought 4 tangles to share with you. So how many of you have 3 or fewer sections? Okay, so everybody has 4 or more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Then I will just show all of them to you. All right, so this next one is one of my favorites because it's kind of organic, and that makes me happy. All right, so this one is a little more free form. Just look at the top row for now. Don't look at the bottom. The bottom is kind of a more, I don't want to say advanced, but more artsy. Like it's more trying to copy something than it is doing a pattern. So if you feel like doing it that way, you can. But let's look at the top for a second. All you're going to do is you're going to draw a line and put a dot on the end of it. And then this always makes me think of Dr. Seuss. And right. And then one thing that you'll see here, they're just drawing arcs and just continue drawing arcs until it peters away into nothing. And what I love to do with these, and you'll see when I do it, is I love to vary the shape of the stalk and the lengths of the different lines to make different shapes. Again, that's what makes me happy. The bottom one is sort of a 3D interpretation of the same tangle. So each of these Zinger is a tangle, right? Knightsbridge is a tangle, okay? So bottom is a 3D version of the tangle, which takes a little more thought and, whatever. So we're just going to stick to the top one unless you want to do the bottom one. but I'm going to teach the top one. So this is, to me, it's a very organic tangle, which I love. And then you might say to yourself, well, how am I going to make this fit into a shape? It doesn't have edges. It doesn't have, you know, anything like that. And so I'll show you what I like to do with it. I'm going to turn it around, and now instead of trying to fill the space, I'm going to use the space as a guideline, and I'm going to have my zinger sort of growing out of this bottom stuff and going into that space. Okay, you'll see what I mean. So let's see. Here's my first one. Go like that. So it's sort of growing out of the Knightsbridge. Put a dot on it. Just like that. Doesn't that make you smile? I don't know. It looks like such a happy little tangle, right? All right, so I'm going to do it again, and then, you know, so, and you can do it with me if you want. We're going to draw a line, whatever shape you want. I'm going to put a dot on the end of it, or a seed, or whatever you might want to call it. And then we're just going to use arcs. I like to start them small, make them get a little bit bigger so it gets a nice little fat belly. You can also make it turn if you want, which I like to do. So now I've got 2 on there. Now I'm going to have one that's going to break some of the boundary rules. So Susan, you might like this. I'm going to do one that's going to start, first of all, I'm going to disregard this line. I'm going to actually go into the Knightsbridge because that's what I'm feeling. And I'm going to start it down here, and I'm going to go in that direction. Because why not? And this one, I'm going to actually extend outside, horror of horrors, outside my border a little bit. So now I feel like mine's kind of starting to develop a top and a bottom, because I feel like these are things that grow. If I wanted to keep going in that direction, I can, but I can always turn it around and make all of the zingers going into the middle if I don't want it to have a direction at the end. They also don't have to be all the same size. When you make a small one, it might look like it's further away, for example. They also don't all have to be in their own space. I'm going to make one that's going to actually go behind the tipple, because why not? Right, so it starts out in the Knightsbridge and it extends to behind the tipple. You can make them cross behind each other as well, obviously. I just thought of another thing that I'd like to do. I'm going to have one branching off one of these. Almost like a bud. Because I like that.
So I know we're supposed to do our own thing here.
Yeah.
But if we want that kind of that flower or that cone to be in a certain space, can you start there and then draw the circle back?
Say that one more time. Starting at the tip of it, you mean?
Yeah, if you start, I was going to point on the screen. If you start at that, where you end.
Yeah.
And then work yourself backwards.
Try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I did. Do
you like it?
I don't have a thought either way.
All right, great.
Okay. It's just like thinking outside the box, kind of.
Absolutely. And that is, you know, I know a few of you have asked, you know, what does Zentangle think of this or that? And the step outs that they provide, that's what those little step tiles are called. They're called step outs for each one. There's no right or wrong way. They do that to help us learn how to draw them, because sometimes if you look at the whole thing, it can be overwhelming. And that's why we break it down into little steps like that. But if you have a way that feels better for you to make it, then that's totally cool.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to show you one more for today. I actually have I have a PDF that's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things. And there is also, this may interest you, there, N.E. Oken, who I mentioned as my favorite Zentangle artist, has an app that is so cool called Art Raffle. And if you are interested in that, I will tell you about it. What it basically is it is a, it gives you 8 options and you choose the different tangles you want. They're all in there and you can click on them. And when you click on it, it turns over and shows you how to make it. So it's got tons of tangles in it. It's so much fun. Okay, the next one. This one is called Crescent Moon. And again, just for a second, look just at that last tile with all the shading. Yikes, that's a little overwhelming, right? That's a lot. How am I going to make that happen? Well, don't look over there. Well, look at the first one. Okay, so we're going to start by making little beads and you're going to space them out a little bit. You see how there's a little space in between each one. So that typically goes around the edge. And on mine, because I only had 3 sections, I'm going to pretend that I have another edge in here somewhere. I know what I'll do. I'm going to grab my pencil again and I'm going to draw it in. So I'm just going to, oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Well, let's talk through this first. So you can see you start with the beads and then each one of these, don't try not to take your pen and just draw a continuous scallop. You know, the idea is you want to draw a little arc around each of those beads. Okay. And then the next one grows towards the center. And that's what's so much fun about this pattern. It grows toward the center. And as it grows in, if you look at the tile on the bottom left, I forgot I can point. If you look at this tile, see how they get narrower and narrower as they go toward the middle. And then at the end, you can't fit anymore. So it's just colored in. That's kind of cool because it kind of gives, especially once you shade it, it gives the impression that it's 3D, which I think is really kind of fun. So I am going to draw it with you. We're going to go back to my camera. All right, so first I'm going to put another line in so that I have a place for this. All right, so now I have this shape right here where I'm going to put all my crescent moon. So just draw little discs along the edge, leaving a little space in between. I'm going to let it go behind my zinger. So I'm going to kind of move my pen there because I know where it's supposed to be. And it's going to end right here. So I'm just gonna put a little mark over there. I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna make it touch my tipple. I guess I will. I'll go around the tipple. I gotta turn my paper. That's not a comfortable angle for me.
So can this be any shape? The final shape, can it be any shape so long as you have those little like seed things that you're now doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it doesn't have to be a teardrop like it showed in the picture.
No, no, no. That's just, they just did that to give a border to demonstrate it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just use whatever shape you have left, right? I'm just sort of avoiding my zinger here so I don't hit it. I like to leave a little white space around the zinger since it doesn't have a very specific edge to it. I just kind of leave a hazy white space around it because it feels right to do that. All right, and once you've finished your beaded border here, you're just going to go and put those arcs. Now, eventually they will touch the one next to it. If you left a really big space, like here, it's not necessarily going to touch the next one. They will grow together.
They look like eyeballs to me.
So after you do your first time around, the second time around, you do want to try to get them to connect to one another because, and then what I want to show you here is I'm going to do the arc and I'm going to make it come right down to the same vertex here, okay? So I'm kind of coming down the same width over here, although that one probably should have gone to the middle. That's all right. Sometimes to make myself not draw a scallop, I have to like do it in the opposite direction because I tend to rush things. All right, and then we're just going to go around and we're going to keep doing this. And what's going to happen is as you start to get closer to the middle, if you like, you can make your lines closer together, which will help to promote that illusion of depth, or you can keep them the same distance apart. Whatever's easier, whatever feels right. Gosh, if I say that one more time. But that's totally what it's about, is what you feel. I can't tell a lie. I know I feel so new age the way I'm talking today, but you know. And then I'm just going to keep going around. These are going to get a little smaller because there's less space. Oh, you know what? I've been forgetting this whole other edge. Let me go and do those. Got to catch them up. When I first learned this one, I tried to do it where I did each whole kind of stack on its own, right? So I'd like start at one of the beads and I'd just keep going out from it. But then the design doesn't coalesce in the middle as easily as if you go around and around and around. All right, so as we're getting closer, the lines are getting less and less distinct. And it's starting to fill in a little here. You can also turn these if you want. They don't have to go straight out. And once you've had enough and you've decided that your cavern is deep enough, so to speak, you can color the rest in black. And I am at that point, so I'm just going to color in the rest of my space. Oh, I need my glasses. I thought once I had contacts, I wouldn't need reading glasses anymore, but actually it turns out I needed them more. I had never worn contacts before like 3 months ago.
Oh, wow.
I know, crazy, right? My vocal coach actually suggested it to take the pressure off my nose when I sing. How about that?
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? She's amazing. She's just, I have never worked with a vocal coach before, and it's so much fun. I'm learning so much. Who knew I'd been singing wrong all my life? All right.
I took a couple vocal coach lessons. This is probably 20 years ago. And I found the same thing. I was breathing all wrong.
Right. And what amazes me is that even though we're doing all of our lessons on Zoom now, she can tell by the way my voice sounds. She's like, no, you need to lift your tongue up. I'm like, what are you talking about? How can you tell? She just kind of, looks at me and she's like, because, it's not my first rodeo. But it amazes me how she's always dead on too. She's so good.
I have to laugh. It just reminds me of a time when my husband had some hip surgery and I had to drive, and I was astonished to learn that I had been driving wrong for like 4 years.
Of course.
Oh yeah, I didn't know how to do anything quite right.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
We're still married.
I cannot drive with my husband in the car because he freaks out and he's always sure I'm going to go drive on the sidewalk.
Well, one of my girlfriends has a phrase and she said it was not a shining moment in our marriage. I'm opting, co-opting it from her, but.
So we're still okay on time, right? Yeah, we've got a little bit more time. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the shading. This is not an absolutely essential step. The shading can be one of the most relaxing parts of a Zentangle because you're not thinking about how to draw the lines anymore. You're just shading. So it can be more fun. It can be more anxiety ridden. Who knows? So I'm going to show you, the first one I'll show you is the last one we did because I think it's pretty straightforward. So you can see what they do is if it's closer to the middle, it's darker, right? And then they put some shading in these creases in between the crescent moons, right? So when you do this, you're going to use your pencil. You can have your pencils back again. Use it very, very lightly. And then we're going to smudge it with a Q-tip. There is a tool that works really well for this called a tortillon, or you can also use a blending stump, which is actually my preference for this kind of stuff. But I loved the idea that you can do this with a Q-tip and it actually works really well. So, this is, talk about low barrier to entry, right? All right, so I'm going to pull this down even more. We'll see how well you can, whoops, let me push it back this way. Nope, that's blurry. All right, hopefully that's pretty good. All right, so on my crescent moon, I'm going to first put some, I love the way Annie Ogan talks about this. She says, I'm going to lay some graphite down. All right, sorry. I'm going to use my pencil to color, sort of, just a little bit in between where they meet, where the different crescents meet each other. I hope you can see this. It's hard because it's black and I can't get it any closer or it'll get blurry, but you'll get the idea. And you saw the other picture. So I'm going around the edges. And then the other thing I'm doing is just about like the last, I need my glasses again, the last crescent, the one closest to the middle. I'm doing some coloring on that too. And I'm going to blend that in so that it looks a little darker there, right where it hits the middle. All right, and then I'm going to take my Q-tip and just use it to soften my pencil. And what you should be left with is just a little more depth, a little bit of illusion. I think I forgot to color this one. Hard to spread it around when there's nothing to spread. If you are more of a hands-on person, you can do this with your finger. The only downside to doing it with your finger is that if you are planning to keep your artwork for a long time, your fingers have oils on them and it's not archival. So if you want to pass this down to your kids, yeah, okay. All right, so hopefully you can see the idea is to get rid of the starkness of those pencil lines, and you just want to kind of soft shading going on there. On the tipple, let me see if I can I get a little focus right there? No, I can't. Okay. On the tipple, I'll show you on one of the bigger ones. I'm going to pick a side. So remember how the crescent moon is kind of everything's going to the middle. The tipple, each one is almost like a little pearl. And so I'm going to shade each individual tipple. I'm going to pick the same side on each one because I think of it as the light is coming from one direction. So I'm just kind of putting a little pencil arc. I'm going to try to make mine a little darker so you can see it. Can you see what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So I'm just kind of putting it, I'm mostly doing it in the bigger ones. And then when I'm done, I may even just shade the smaller ones, but all the bigger ones are going to get this little arc. And then I'm going to take my trusty Q-tip and smudge it. Q-tip doesn't give you much of a tip. A tortillon has a pointed tip. I'll show you one in a couple minutes. And actually, yeah, as long as you don't rub too hard, it looks like you can rub across the whole thing. But do you see how it makes those tipple kind of jump out a little bit? I don't know. Can you see it or is it too light? Maybe?
Yeah.
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 All right. Knightsbridge.
Oh, that's a good question.
What did you say?
No, I'm saying yes, and I can see yours and I can sort of see it in mine.
Awesome. That's kind of a fun feeling. The zinger, again, you can use, like I have now selected that my light is coming from one direction. You can think about it that way, but what I like to do with zinger is just pick one side of it and just each one I'm going to shade maybe about, I don't know, a quarter of it. And then I'm going to smudge it. So you'll see how this will look once I do it. But I'm just picking a side of each one. And it just gives it just that little bit of depth and fun. I challenge you to not think of Dr. Seuss. Sometimes after you smudge it, you might lose some of the depth and the darkness all the way on the edge. And then you can always go back and add a little more graphite to kind of make your shadow a little more graduated, you know? Oh, I like the way that looks. That makes me happy. And if mama ain't happy,
ain't nobody happy.
That's right.
I have to tell you, next week is Dr. Seuss's birthday.
You know? Yeah, I thought it was the 1st or 2nd.
Something like that. I'm not sure. They have Dr. Seuss week all week at school.
Oh, cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm in the process of making Samantha an all green outfit to wear for Green Eggs and Ham Day.
Oh,
gosh.
my flow.
You're the best grandma.
No, there's two.
Are you going with her? I have a t-shirt with the cat in the hat that I don't think I've ever worn.
Oh, darling. I would love to. However, she's doing it at my house. I mean, she doesn't go. That's why I'm so involved this year. We do first grade half the time at our house and half the time at the other grandparents' house.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been mostly real fun.
Mostly. All right. Let us go on to the Knightsbridge shading. Again, this one is recommended shading is really super easy on this one. Again, we're going to pick one side. And you can go right across the black. You don't have to not write on the black. And this is the easiest, the simplest way to do it is just to do it on one side like this. I'm trying to make this nice and dark so you can see it. And then we'll just smudge it. And then this one, I probably will go back with the pencil and color in really close to the edge, close to that border, just to give it more graduation. You can smudge it as much or as little as you want, what feels good to you. I had to get one more in. I like to go all the way right to that edge, because you know how sometimes after you smudge it, you might see that it's a little lighter next to the edge because maybe you didn't get it all the way in the first place. So when I go back, I kind of fill in that little white space that might have gotten left. And you end up with a little more 3D going on there. So one thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to finish off my Knightsbridge edge a little bit, because since I started to ignore the lines, I think I might have to ignore more of them. So I'm going to do this with my Knightsbridge. So it kind of, the incomplete ones, I'm going to kind of complete them. And then I think we're going to call this guy done. And while you guys are finishing up, I'm going to go grab a couple things to show you in case you're curious. Oh, wait, no, I'm not, because we haven't finished yet. So once you've colored everything in and shaded it and you're done, you want to hold it at arm's length and take a really good look at it, right? And see what you think. And turn it around a little bit in your hands, turn it from angle to angle. And if you decide that there is a top and a bottom, then you can put your initials somewhere right side up. I've decided that I've decided that this is my top because I like the way the zingers kind of grow out of the Knightsbridge, and to me that looks like the top. So at the bottom over here, I always put it in, I came up with this little, they're big in Zentangle about having you come up with a chop, like a way that you sign all of your stuff. And so of course, being the dork that I am, I came up with one. So mine is my initials, but backwards on each other. So, and sometimes I do them in the other order. I don't know why. So it's like a backwards D and a forwards R with a little dot. And that's my chop. So that would be how my finished art looks. I've done it so infrequently lately, I don't even remember where the dot goes anymore. But there you go. So while you guys are finishing up, I'm going to go grab a couple things to show you about where you can go with Zentangle. Can I turn this camera off?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right.
Don't forget, I do really would love to show you Samantha's stuff because
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Well, we've got 9 minutes, so we definitely will have time for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, show us now. Show us now.
Oh, all right.
Let me put you on spotlight so we can see.
These are little they're tablets that have a hole for a pencil.
Oh.
And she's done these. And then we're making cards for a project for something. And so
she put the space in it.
Oh my gosh.
I thought they were really quite nice looking for a little.
And what is she, 8?
She'll be 7 next in April.
7? Oh my God.
Yeah, she's kind of arty, like her dad, I guess. So
Nice.
anyway, there
Beautiful.
you go.
I love the color choices on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Having fun. She was trying to show me.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've done that were kind of fun. So you can take it anywhere. To Lori's question about color. This is one that I did where the background was drawn first, was colored first. And it was done with watercolor pencils. And then I tangled on top of it. So the, you know, that's one idea. Here's another one I did like that. Is there only one here? I think, no, there's 2 here. I got to pick one. This one I did as part of a class with Annie Okens. So I have to give her credit where credit is due. I can't even find my signature. Oh, there it is. So there's another colored one.
Wow.
Oh, that is beautiful.
And so all that we did is you can see the string, see the lines, where the different sections come together. First, we drew a string, then we colored it in, and then we tangled over it with a black marker and then shaded it. It's shaded with both a white pencil and also the colored pencils. So that's something else.
So just out of curiosity, how long did it take you to do something like that?
Well, this one took me, I would say probably 5 or 6 hours. And I didn't do it all at once.
No.
You know, this was a project. And then here's another black and white one that I did in her class. You can get really, really detailed with these.
Goodness.
Wow.
Looks like Escher almost.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
But this is Annie's style. This is, me copying it. And then I'll show you one more of hers. Let's see which one. I just grabbed my stack. This one was cool. This one was done through the art raffle where the tangles were chosen using the art raffle by random. And then we did something with it.
Ooh.
So
that's so cool.
That's cool. And then one more with color, just because color.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, and then before I met Annie, I did a project where I worked with the sisterhood at Temple Emmanuel, and we did a Zentangle night. And that was my first experience trying to teach Zentangle. And what we did is we took 4x4 tumbled marble tiles that were, unfinished, unvarnished. And we made coasters out of them. And so what I did was I wanted to have more than just a coaster. And so I made a design where I took four of them and I did the string across all 4. Now, this is an example of one where I didn't just connect the dots, right? I connected the dots with curved lines, and that was fun. And so this is actually a functional set of 4 coasters that we can take out and then use. And I painted the back, and you will recognize the tangle that's under it. All right, so that's Zinger. But the thing I love about Zentangle is that you can totally get lost in it. It is, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like today's class just flew. Yeah, because we are Just about done. Does would anybody like to either share their artwork or talk about it or anything like that? Talk about the way you felt while you were doing it. I don't mean to get all touchy-feely on you if you're not like that, so don't feel obligated. It's just a matter, I'm just kind of asking, what did you think? What did you come up with? What did you think?
It was fun. I'm a quilter, and a lot of these are free motion quilting.
Oh, yay. Can I spotlight that so we can see it better? Go ahead. Since you offered it, we're going to look at it, Pam.
Okay.
Oh, wow. And you've never done Zentangle?
No.
That's so cool.
But I've done free motion quilting, and I have a whole quilt with, these are called bubbles.
Huh.
And this is just called free. And then you make a flower at the end. I didn't know it was called what it was. I do linear stitching on and cross stitching, so that I guess I should bend it a little bit.
Well, I was going to say, I love how you bent the lines in that. Isn't that cool? So it takes on the shape of the circle.
Right.
That's beautiful, Pam. Thanks.
Thank you. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'd never done anything like that before.
Cool. Anybody else?
Well, I won't show you mine, but I tend to be very precise. And so I just let myself be messy.
Cool.
And it was very relaxing.
Good.
And I could see where I could get really obsessed with doing this.
Yeah, boy, did I go down that one. I did this for so long, and I love to do it during meetings. I love my colleagues. They're all awesome, but sometimes those meetings can take a long time.
Yeah.
Anybody else like? Did anybody just be like?
Alyssa, I want to see your.
Oh, Alyssa's got one. Okay, hang on.
This is what my hands look like. I'm very messy.
I love it.
And I have.
Oh, Liz, that is so cool.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, cool.
Oh, I like that.
The one in the now lower left is called Halibah. I like how you did the Halibah.
Started that. That's my favorite, I think.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I like that because you can. I almost showed you that one, but then I did Knightsbridge instead.
And I just Googled Zentangle while we were talking and just found some of these other patterns to play around.
Yeah.
With. But I have to say, my watch did tell me to breathe twice while I was doing this.
Did you listen?
I don't know how relaxing it is in my household, but.
That's wonderful. Anybody else want to share either verbally or picture-wise?
I added color. I just wanted to see what it was going to be.
Ooh.
Nice. Cool. And I like how it's sort of random in there. It looks like, who does the artwork? Like, what's his name? Come on, Frank Lloyd Wright a little bit. Doesn't that part of it look a little Frank Lloyd Wright-y? The sort of glass mission.
Yeah.
I have more to do, but it's a good start.
Yeah. No,
what did you think of the experience? Was it fun?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm reasonably pleased with mine as far as it got. I didn't get real far.
Yeah.
But, I thought this thing came out kind of cool. And
yeah, I love it.
I'm definitely not arty. So this is, it's fun.
Well, and that actually, I'm so glad you said that. Not to pick on you, but people who are not your traditional artists or drawers or whatever you want to call it, this is supposed to be, and looks like it was for you, accessible because they show you the little parts and you just play with it. It's not right. It's not wrong. Was anybody freaked out because you didn't have an eraser? Yeah. A little bit, but once you got used to using the marker, were you okay?
Yeah. April said that they're happy accidents.
Yes.
Have a mistake, it's a happy accident.
Yes, it's a happy accident when your pen goes the wrong way. Or the other thing they call them is opportunities.
There's a kids book called Beautiful Oops. It's all about, if you don't have it for your grandkids, definitely go get it. It's adorable, but it's about something, the paper tears or you spill water on it or whatever, but you can still make a beautiful piece of art out of something that you thought was a mistake.
Cool.
What is this again? What's it?
It's called Beautiful Oops.
Oh,
Okay.
Can I ask you guys also, I spoke with a Zentangle professional last night. I still can't believe she invited me to call her at 8 o'clock last night. I was looking for a little bit of inspiration and she talked to me for 20 minutes. She asked me if, for whoever was comfortable doing so, would I be willing to take a screenshot of the people with their art. Are you guys, if you would rather not be a part of that, that's totally cool. You can just hide your video. If you would not mind being part of that and with or without your art, that would be great. So you can just kind of hold up what you got. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to set it up and I'll hold mine up too, and then I'll let go of the button. But would love to see your face if you're willing to show it. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Thank you guys. And I'll share that with all of you too, because I really had fun today, you guys. That was delightful.
I can see myself doing this.
Oh,
forward. I definitely could.
I love the way it comes out. I mean, I really think it's attractive.
It is, isn't it?
Self-esteem.
I'll send you some links, and just if you're curious, I don't want to overwhelm anybody, but if you enjoy, like Alyssa was looking for more patterns and stuff, I have a pattern book from like 2016, 2017, whatever. It's a PDF, and it doesn't have any of the step outs in it. But if you like a pattern, then you can Google the step out. Okay. It's not immediately obvious, but if you feel like playing with it, and you can just keep these same 4 tangles and just do that. And that's totally cool too. Thank you, everybody. I will be in touch about, I don't know yet what our enrichment is going to be. Oh, I had one more question for you. I know it's 11:30, but this is kind of important. One of our future classes in April is going to be with a paper cut artist. Her name is Kim Phillips, and she does Jewish paper cut work. And when I told her the class was an hour and a half, she was like, oh, can't we have longer? And she's willing to do an hour and a half. That's totally cool. But she also said that she was willing to stay 2 hours for anybody who wanted it. But I don't want you necessarily to answer now, because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. So I know people have lives and places to go. So can you please let me know, either privately or now or however you want to do it, about whether you'd be willing to take a longer class, or whether you would really kind of like us to wrap it up and just be done, you know, whether you're finished or not, just to stop at an hour and a half, because you think you will have had enough. Okay.
Do you have a certain date?
Yes, I can't remember off the top of my head, but tell you what, in the follow-up email, I'll put the date in there, and that way you can, you know, you can tell me. But she was totally like, yeah, I'd love to see what they how it finishes, and she would love to take it all the way to the end with us, but understands that we also have limits. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.